Hey YouTube, this is Licious Kid from ClimaxCombo, and we are back with another Leaks of the Week. This week we are continuing off with Gigant, but this week we are also starting SAO2 trial deck, right here. And the new Nanoha booster coming out. The Nanoha booster is exactly like how Angel Beats was done. It has a couple reprint from the older sets, and it adds a couple of new cards to it, just like Angel Beats, which is pretty cool, I guess. But yeah. Gigant coming out on the 10th of October, while on the 23rd is both Nanoha and SAO trial deck, which is, we have a good while to go before new sets are coming out. But I guess because of that, there aren't a lot of leaks this week, so this should be a fairly short video. I always say that, but they usually end up 20-minute plus. But this week should be really short because for some reason, they didn't have any leaks on Monday. So yeah, we only have 4 days of leak and not much cards, so I'll just get right to it with that. So this is Tuesday's leak, September 16th. This is the 107k common Gigant protagonist. When this card is front attack, place this card to waiting room, and in parentheses it says, even with the absence of a battling opponent, this attack does not become a direct attack. Oh, I see. This card preview starts on 16 September 15 with a public holiday in Japan. Oh, I didn't know that. So that's cool to know. That makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so this card essentially is 107k. It's extremely overpowered in size because it will just die to anything. So they attack it, it dies, doesn't matter. It could be a level 0 that attacks into this 500 power, or hell, it can even be that level 3 we saw last week that has 1 power. Attack this, and it will instantly die. Um, I'll give this card a more of a proper review because there is a card that synergizes with this on Wednesday. So this is Wednesday's leak. September 17th. This guy or this girl, sorry, it's the mom. His housewife Gigant. Oh, even the mom is Gigant. I guess maybe she plays the card game. Who knows? But anyways, what this is, it's a clock bond for the level 1 we saw yesterday. And its other effect is pay 1, choose one of your opponent's level 0 and place I'm below in the front row, and send it to the waiting room. So this clock bonds obviously for this card, and it has a pay 1 pop a level 0 on the field. Honestly, these effects shouldn't really be used unless you're gonna pay out a climax. So I guess it's nice. It's a nice way to pay out a climax at level 0. It's always there for you, and you can even spam it. So if it's 2 cards deep, you can use the mom twice to get it out. Not ideal, but it is always there for you. It's always nice to have. Um, at first I thought this card was like not that great just because it just instantly dies. But with the mom, I actually think it's not that bad because the clock bond is still a costless plus. Yes, you do take 1 damage, so over the course of the game, it does hurt you more and more in the long run. But in the early games, and especially at level 0, it's extremely nice to have a clock bonder. Because if your opponent leaves you at 0-5, you can of course clock to 0-6, play the mom, clock yourself 1 damage, and then hit level 1. So it's a nice way to get yourself stuck out of sticky situations at level 0. And yeah, and then you can grab this guy. This guy is he's honestly not that bad just because of the fact that he's still a 107k. It forces your opponent to respond to him. Like if you attack, he's pretty much just like a costless 1-turn beater. You play him, you attack. If they back up, who really cares? Because he's gonna die regardless next turn. And if they do back up, that's good. They still minus in hand size. Of course, you don't end up killing it, but it's okay because you made them back up for a card that was going to die regardless. And it does plus, and he can be a little plus engine because the mom is always there for you to plus an extra hand size. So honestly, because of the mom, this card is okay. Still not the greatest card ever, but I don't think it's terrible. I think these two are kind of cool. And it's interesting because I didn't think the mom would be a Gigant trade, so I guess she could synergize with the rest of the deck. So it kind of depends what else the series has to have. Like I said earlier in the last video, this being an extra booster only set, we don't know everything this set has to offer, and extra boosters are limited in its card pool. So depending on what Gigant has to offer, perhaps people will be using this for a little plus engine. And yeah, this card is okay just because it demands some respect. Of course it will die, but it's okay. Because you can always just get him back. But yeah, that's Tuesdays and Wednesdays leak. Thursday's leak is this guy, September 18th. winning for the sake of her dream, Mikuro. Oh, I didn't even realize she was a girl. Gigant and Drunk. That's an interesting trait. Anyways, when this is played from hand to stage, look at the top card of your deck and either place it there or leave it there or put it to your waiting room. It also climax combo with Crunchy Water Cutter. We don't know what this climax is yet, and what it does with the climax combo is when this card is reversed in battle and the cost of this card's battling opponent is 1 or lower, you may place that card to reverse. So it's pretty much a cost 1 Suicider with its respective climax combo. We do not know what the climax combo is yet. I'm assuming it's going to be 2k1 because I'm assuming the gate is going to go to the Pro Tag level 3 that we saw last week. So I'm going to assume this is 2k1. I really do hope it's 2k1 because I think it'll be better because 2k1, because of this top check, because you play this, you could check the top card of your deck, and if you leave it there, and then if you 2k1 right after, then you get to draw into the card that you leave there, which would make this card synergy a lot better. Of course, you always have the option of putting it to your waiting room, which is nice as well. Maybe if it's like another climax on top and you don't want to draw into it and or trigger it, then she is here for you. I actually think this card is pretty good, depending on what the climax is. If it's stock 1 soul, not as great. I really do hope it's 2k1. Just because the 2k1, like I said, allows you to draw into the card that you see at on top, and the 2k1 does break even, and then it becomes a break even cost 1 Suicider. Cost 1 Suicider, you know, always nice to have because you could kill 1 1s, 2 1s, and even 1 O's. So why not? Yeah, if it's depending on the climax, I think this card is if the climax is 2k1, I think this card will be like a 2 to 4 of. I would probably run 3 depending on what the set has, but if it's a 2k1, I would probably run this and run 3 of this along with 4 of the 2k1s, perhaps. But yeah, like I said, don't know what the climax is, but assuming it's 2k1, or even if it's just a gate or a stock 1 soul, still pretty good, I think. So yeah, and it's only a common, so yeah, that's nice. Next up is the first and only Nanoha leak this week. It is 00 Fate, a pretty sexy card, and she's only common, which is surprising. But what this card does is it's magic and clone. Before I get into the Nanoha thing, I'm not too familiar with the entire set of Nanoha. My friend does own a Nanoha deck, so you know, I do play him quite often, so I do have a pretty good idea about what Nanoha has to offer, but I don't know like every card in the set because it's like a 5 booster set, you know, and a lot of cards are pretty bad because it's a pretty old set. So since a lot of cards are crap, I didn't really look through the entire pool. So I don't know everything it has to offer, but I do have a decent idea of what this set has to offer. But anyways, with that out of the way, 00 Fate, Magic and Clone. Nanoha is pretty trait dependent or trait restricted, so the traits are quite important in this set. This is whoop. Okay, so that out of the way. Once again, 002K common, Magic Clone, sexy art. So what this does is when it's played from hand to stage, this card gains plus 1500 power until the end of the turn, which is cool, I guess, because it could be a 0035, which is a respectable amount of power at level 0. But its real effect is the second effect. It's a brainstorm. Pay 1, tap to reveal the top 4 cards of your deck and place it to waiting room for every climax amongst them. Search your deck for 1 clone or familiar character, show it to your opponent, and then add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. I think this card is pretty good because the Brainstorm, it's a plus Brainstorm. Plus Brainstorm is always nice to have, and I don't think Nanoha has a really solid plus Brainstorm. I think my friend told me they have a pay 2 plus Brainstorm, but it's spammable. But it's pay 2. At that point, you're not really getting much out of it. A pay 1 plus Brainstorm is far better. So I think them having a pay 1 plus Brainstorm is really good, just because yeah, I think it's just really good. Plus Brainstorm is always really good to have, and you know, Nanoha doesn't have the. It's when it falls behind, I feel like it stays behind. But if it's ahead, it stays ahead. You guys know what I mean. So with this, it's a good way to come back if you're lacking in hand size, or hell, it's just really good to have if you're winning. Just keep plussing. So yeah, overall, I think this is a really good card. The only real downside to this is the clone, and it only searches for the clone and familiar trait. Clone being Fate, and honestly, the card pool, like the most top builds I see are like red, blue, and they revolve around not Signum, Hayate, and Nanoha, I believe is her name. I didn't actually watch the anime, so I only know the characters because of Weiss. Um, this girl. Yeah, pretty much they revolve. They use like red, blue. They use like Nanoha, Fate, or Nanoha, Hayate. So those are not clone characters, but there are still clone characters in your deck. You can still run the level 3 Fate. Uh, yeah, the level 3 Fate that heals and can come out at level 2. And the familiar trait is ARF. There's a really strong ARF assist, the 0/0 ARF assist. It's pretty much like a 1k boost. Not too, can't remember the exact effect at the top of my head, but that ARF assist is really good. And there are a couple good Fate cards in the pool, and I'm sure this booster will bring better Fate cards into the set. So in general, I think this card is just really solid. Yeah, just really good. And it's a common, so you cannot really, yeah, just overall great card. Common and plus brainstorm. And yeah, just kind of can't search everything out in the deck. If it could grab magic, this card would be freaking amazing, but because it can't, it's only at good. So, yeah. If you're running a pure Fate deck, which I see a lot of people do, then this card is just amazing for you guys. But yeah, that's Wednesday's leak. Thursday's leak. I ranted about that long enough. And lastly is this guy and Xenon. 3/2 10k R. Ability user of Shadow Kirito. Lols. It's kind of like we got an SAO leak because this guy's Kirito. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, what this guy does. 3/2 10k R. I think this guy is pretty cool. He's Mystery and Gigant. So I actually think this guy's interesting. So what he does is during the start of your climax phase, if you have no other characters, choose up to one of your opponent's level 3 or lower front stage characters and place it to the owner's clock. And this card gains plus 7k and the following ability till the end of your turn. This ability can only be used once per turn. When this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may pay 2, discard 2. If you do, place this card back to stand and move to another empty border on your stage. How you accomplish getting no characters on your side of the field is this second effect. Choose one of your other characters on stage and place it to waiting room. This card gains plus 1k until the end of your opponent's turn. So, Kirito. Pretty interesting card. No other card like this guy in the entire game, I believe. So what he does is, so pretty much you play him, you sack everything on your side of the field. You sack your back row, you sack your front row, because you have to, because if you don't, then why even play him? So you sack everything, and then he will be at least 14k. Then at the start of your attack phase, since you have no other characters, you've accomplished his condition because you sacked everything. You can now send a level 3 opponent character on your opponent's front row to the clock, so you deal guaranteed 1 damage. Then he gets plus 7k, so then he becomes a 21k base. You kill something, right? I mean, there's nothing is going to survive this guy. He's 21k, like you can't even consider living against that unless you have some weird backup that like removes the character you're reversing. But anyways, pretty much kill something, which is pretty much guaranteed unless they have some wonky backup. Then you pay 2, discard 2, put him back to stand, then move him to another opponent's front stage and then attack again, and he's still 21k. So in general, this guy can wipe your opponent's field because he sends one of them to clock and then he attacks the other 2, accomplishing you wiping your opponent's field. And you deal a guaranteed 1, and you only get 2 attacks in, but that's because you did deal the guaranteed 1, so it's kind of like 3 attacks. And this guy is 14k on your opponent's turn because you did sack everything on your side of the field, so he's 14k during your opponent's turn. So he's probably no, he can die depending on which side your opponent's playing. But if you do have a backup, like a common 3k backup, you can back him up to 17k, and then at that point he will probably survive. And if he does survive, rinse and repeat. You're probably not going to sack everything on your side of the field again, just because you can't commit 4 cards to your field after paying 2, discarding 2. So yeah, and then rinse and repeat if you have enough resources to do so. And the second time you use this effect, you don't have to sack anything on your side of the field because he's probably going to be alone. And because of that, he still gets the plus 7k, and he will still kill everything. And yeah, he will be 17k. So yeah, I hope I explained that well. But in general, I think this card is really cool. It's like a final turn thing. If you think you're going to die, then you might as well slap down Kirito and then go for broke. But yeah. this card is just really interesting. There are ways to play around this card, of course. If of course you can just ram all your characters in, like before your opponent hits level 3, just play 3 level 0s, crash, crash, crash. And then if you have an empty front stage, then Kirito doesn't do anything because he doesn't have anything to clock shoot. And he can't even double attack because he has to reverse something anyway. So Kirito then becomes an extremely useless card if your opponent does not have anything in the front stage. Of course, you can play around this by, you playing 3 level 0s, and then you crashing yourself into your opponent's character. And if you have an empty front stage, then your opponent can't possibly crash himself in because he has to attack you directly. And attacking you directly, you can cancel, and then play Kirito and then shit on them. So yeah, Kirito, very interesting card. Probably best way to play around him is, like I said, crash all your characters into your opponent's characters. That way, Kirito doesn't have anything to reverse or clock shoot. However, of course, the Gigant player can play around this as well by making you crash into him, or yeah. And of course, you can only crash for so long without losing resources. So in general, Kirito, very cool and interesting card. Really excited to see what Gigant has to offer now, because I actually think this card is really cool. Pretty excited for this card. Probably the only really card I'm impressed by Gigant at this point. But yeah, in general, Kirito, good job, buddy. And lastly, we can't have Kirito without Xenon. So here's the first leak for SAO2 booster. It is the Xenon 3210K. This, I'm assuming this is going to be the only level 3 in the trial deck. And this is a pretty good level 3 for a trial deck. She's avatar and weapon as per usual. And during your opponent's turn, this card gains 500 for every avatar or net character you control, times 500. So you have a full field. Before assist, she's 12.5. No, 12k, because she doesn't include herself, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 12k before assist, which is not that great. But this card heals, and we haven't had a level 3 in a trial deck heal in the longest time. The last one that healed at the top of my head is it the Fate level 3 from Sword Art, or not Sword Art Online, from Fate Stay Night, or Fate Zero? I think that's the last level 3 that healed from a trial deck, and that's like 2 to 3 years now, just at the top of my head. But in general, pretty solid level 3 for a trial deck just because it heals, and it's okay. It's a 12.5k body, but the fact that it heals makes it already a pretty good level 3 for a trial deck. And it being SAO, I'm sure a lot of people will be getting into SAO or getting into Weiss with this trial deck. So this being a pretty solid level 3, they could just buy 2 trial decks and hopefully have an okay deck. So yeah, in competitive builds, don't see this card being run at all, to be honest. They have better healers and better blue level 3s. I'd rather play the level 3 double attacker Kirito that heals over this. But yeah, Xenon, in general, good card for trial deck level 3. And it's Xenon, everyone's new waifu. But yeah, that is the leaks for this week. Like I said, not that much, just because Monday they didn't have any. Tuesday, Wednesday, they only had 2 cards max per day. And yeah, that is all I have to say for this week. This week, pretty weak cards. Nothing too crazy. Except this Kirito. I think he's cool. And, yeah, that's it. This Kirito is like the most exciting thing this week. This Fate card, I hope it becomes good. Because, if they bring a lot of good Fate cards, then this card just goes from good to really good or amazing. So, yeah. That's all I have to say for this week, guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, comments, then please leave them in the comments below. And until next time.